Being sub 20 is something every beginning cuber strives to do. However, it can be a little difficult and often people don't know how to do it. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and today I'm going to tell you guys what it means to be sub 20 and how you can do it. Let's get into it. Okay, so one question some of you guys might be asking is, how do I know if I'm sub 20? I mean, if you solve the cube in under 20 seconds, I'm sub 20, right? Well, not exactly. See, just because you solve the cube in under 20 seconds one time does not automatically make you sub 20. It's hard to find an actual good definition of what it means to be sub 20, so I made this one up right here. The act of consistently averaging under 20 seconds and your average of 100 can prove it to an extent. Okay, so that last part might be kind of confusing, so let me address it. Let's say you say I average sub 20 and your averages of 5 and 12 usually say 19 or 18 seconds. Chances are then you're probably actually sub 20. However, one thing to look at are your averages of 100 because after all those have a bigger section of solves, and so what it does, it takes more of the solves used, and especially if you just got to be able to be sub 20, I say that in quotes because of course that if you all of a sudden average 19.8, chances are you don't actually average sub 20 fully. That's why to an extent, because obviously if your average of 100 says 20.1, you're not fully sub 20. I mean, you are partially because your averages of 5 and 12 say you are, but I think it's important to remember that an average of 5 does not always say that, oh, it proved it, because I have a 1307 average of 5. That's my PB average of 5, but I do not average sub 14. I average like sub 16. I'm like a 15.9 is where my average of 100 and average of 500 are at right now. So again, an average of 5 or 12 does not prove you're sub 20, but it can just say for the most part. Obviously, if your average of 100, average of 500, or even average of 1,000 says it's 18, 19, then yes, you're definitely sub 20. But you shouldn't take your average of 5 or 12 if it's 19 or 18 as complete gold standard that, oh, I'm sub 20 now. Okay, so with all that rambling out of the way, now let's get into my 5 tips on how you can be sub 20. Tip number 1 is work on your F2L. This is a very, very important tip, and the reason why is because F2L is an important part of the solve. If you think about it, you're inserting 4 pairs into 4 slots, and most time empty slots, mind you, and trying to figure out where pieces are, looking ahead for those pieces, whereas last layer, you're basically, if you're doing a 2-look last layer, which is, full OLL, full PLL, you only need to know 2 algs and recognize. That's it. Whereas compared to F2L, you need to be looking for 2 pieces, and if you're looking ahead, looking for 2 other pieces. So F2L is very important, and a lot of people use F2L algs, and a lot of people use intuitive F2L. Guess what I use? I use both, and you should too, and here's the reason. Algs are move efficient. Algs are just efficient in general. They are the best way to solve the case into the right front slot. Now, if all you use is insert into the right front slot, that's fine, but you shouldn't be. You should be inserting into the back slot, the left back slot, just the left front slot. And the reason why is because if you try to force it always into the right front slot, that's gonna hinder you because you have to rotate and you'll have to do things like that. And maybe it might seem hard to say, how can I insert into the back? I don't know, I can't see it. Well, it's one of those things, once you practice, it becomes so much easier. In fact, sometimes I will actually rotate on purpose, even though it's my last slot, just rotate into the back, even though I'm using my left hand. I don't know why, I just do, maybe out of habit. That's a weird habit to have. But you should be using good F2L algs. I will link a PDF that I made down in the description of what I believe are the best F2L algs for each of the, I believe, 41 cases that insert into the right front slot. However, though, you want to be also using not F2L, intuitive F2L, I mean F2L, yes, but intuitive F2L, because intuitive F2L allows you to understand the cube more and allows you to see how pieces move and maybe come up with new and exciting ways. And also, look up like F2L algorithms on YouTube. Like they have like F2L tricks, like Chris Olsen has a few and things like that. And it's kind of cool to see how the pieces can work, because you can oftentimes find really neat cases that might do some edge orientation, or maybe will solve another pair while you're at it, or even just maybe a really move efficient way that might be not the most finger trick friendly, but might be really good for like FMC, which I don't do. But again, F2L is important. I don't want to ramble on about it, but you should be using good algs, and good alg, by the way, is something that is move efficient. It's something that's easy to execute. So something that maybe is that uses R, U, and F moves as opposed to maybe a U, a L, and a B, which obviously those are kind of not really as common used with L and although that combination. But again, if you are picking to do something with L's, U's, and D's, or B's, L's, and F's, like, okay, that's not really that good of a choice to have. Whereas if you could do something with RU's and F's, or RU's and D's, or even an RU and L if you have to, but like something like that you can choose between. Using efficient algs is important. And obviously, like I said, I don't want to ramble on about this, but you have to remember that F2L is important. So if that is the one tip you take away from this, take that away. Go work on your F2L. Go sit down. Don't even time yourself. Just sit down, solve the cube, slowly, mind you, so you can watch the F2L move, because F2L is an important part of the solve. Tip number 2 is work on your cross. This is also a pretty important one, though it's not quite as important as the F2L. But the reason why your cross is important is because the cross is the foundation of the solve. If you have a good cross that you can look ahead in, that you can actually get done fairly quickly, you can go right into F2L. And if you have a good F2L, then you have a good last layout, then you have a good solve. Nonetheless, though, one thing you want to be working on in your cross is trying to get all 4 of your pieces solved in inspection. And this is kind of difficult, and I even struggle with this, even though I average like 15 seconds. Like constantly I'm getting 14s, 13s, I even get 12s often, I get 11s semi-often, but nonetheless, working on your cross and getting it solved in your head can be kind of difficult. And so you want to work on that, and again, this is a practice issue. There's not something that you can just say, I'm going to do this, that you change something, just do it a little different way or whatever. I mean, you have to really work on this, and if you get 3 pieces in, 3 pieces at least is tolerable, like that you can get there and say, okay, I have 3 pieces in, the last one, I have a vague idea where it's going to be, that's fine. Here's the problem though, you do your 3 pieces and then you have 1/4 piece that you have to mess with, and then you throw off your whole F2L. Whereas if you have your all 4 pieces memorized, you know exactly mentally where you want them to go, and then the nice thing about that is that you can go right into your F2L pair, and then you don't even have to like pause if you obviously have good look ahead. So again, this comes back to the fact that just looking ahead is important, and just having a good solution. So working on a good cross solution, working on a solution that that is efficient, and maybe even preserves an F2L pair. Again, there's a lot of videos on this, so if you want to look at videos on working on your cross, JPerm has a whole bunch. Like JPerm is a great guy. If you guys don't have heard JPerm, you guys need to go subscribe to him. He's awesome. Great content, great helpful tips. But yeah, working on your cross is important, so definitely take this one away from this video too. Tip number 3, make sure your last layer algs are decent. This again is like the first one in terms of having good algs, because good algs really are important. If you have an alg that is finger trick friendly, that is a fairly low move count, and just overall a nice alg to do, chances are you'll be able to get better solves because you're not fumbling with an alg, you're not using your fingers weird, or you're not taking a long time on an alg. And so making sure your last layer algs for OLL and PLL are important, and that's important. That's a good thing to do, making sure your algs are good, because obviously you don't want to be using bad algs. AlgDB, if you haven't heard of algdb.net, it is a fantastic resource. They have like F2L algs, winter variation, OLL, PLL, VLS, ZBLL, all kinds of algs. And it's not like, oh, the best alg in this. They have 15 algs all do the same thing, but just they show you different ways to do it. And so obviously that's not as useful for PLL, because most time you'll just use the most popular alg, the best alg. You won't be using some alg that is super long as opposed to this long. You won't be doing that. F2L is really nice though for edge orientation, things like that. But it definitely is a great resource to check it out, and algdb.net is something that everyone should be using, that if you need algs, go look there. But anyway, is that you want to make sure your algs are good, and I'll show some examples on screen of what a good alg, what an alg looks like. A good alg looks like execute good and bad, why it's important. But again, you make sure your algs are good, and this is obviously, like I said, closely tied to the first one. And Chris Olson has his PLL like a pro videos, and JPerm has shows his PLLs, and Felix has his PLL guide. Definitely check those resources out. Those are great resources if you want to know the best alg and how to execute it. Those I would definitely recommend checking those out, especially on harder cases, maybe like a V-perm or an N-perm or a G-perm, things like that maybe aren't as common, or even are common but are difficult to execute, especially like a G-perm. Seeing how people execute it. I'm not like a pro of this, and that's this is as much a guide to me as it is to you in a way, because while I am faster, I can still improve on a lot of these things. So definitely check those resources out. And tip number 3 then is work on your last layer algs. Tip number 4 is working on your look ahead. Now, this one really isn't as crucial as the first 3, because look ahead at this stage is something that you can get away with not having great look ahead. I mean, if you want to get sub 15, sub 12, yes, you need fairly decent look ahead, especially sub 12 or like sub 10. I mean, for sure, look ahead it has to be, but look ahead is very important. I figured I would bring it up just so you guys can be working on it now. And if you guys need to know how to work on look ahead, Chris Olson, I mean, I know I mentioned his name a lot, but he is just so good. He has a video on how to look ahead, and I'll link that down in the description below if I remember. And just watch that video. That really has helped me. And just practicing look ahead, doing slow solves, not timing yourself, just watching pieces move. That's how you look ahead. And so that's just, I would definitely recommend that. Like I said, it's not as crucial at this point in time if you're just trying to get sub 20, but it definitely will help the process. Okay, everybody, last tip, tip number 5, is just be patient and just practice. Just practice the tips I said above, because if you practice these, eventually results will come if you practice very often and just try your best, because obviously, yes, it sucks to wait and have to wait 3 weeks or whatever. But guess what? If you just every day, just maybe, learn a better alg. Just practicing it out. Just sit down, maybe even just do 10 slow solves, just watching the pieces move, and just do that every day, or more, obviously, the more the better. Just work on stuff. And that's just the thing, is you need to be patient. Just ask other advice from cubers. Be willing to listen. Be willing to take a criticism and advice, because that's obviously very important. Watch other videos on YouTube. Chris Olson, J Perm, I'm sure Felix. A lot of people have videos on this kind of topic. So just be willing to learn. That's the thing, is that you shouldn't be all stuck in your ways. And again, I'm talking to myself here in a way too, that I struggle with these kind of things too. So just remember that if you are patient and if you practice a lot and you diligently work on this, eventually results will come. You just need to be patient and practice it. So guys, my last tip for you guys is just be patient, practice, and have fun too. If you're not having fun doing it, there's no reason in doing it, unless of course you really need to be sub 20 for some reason. But yeah, definitely be patient and practice, and just try to have the most fun as you guys can. Okay, everybody, so those are my tips for being sub 20. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. I know that being sub 20 can be a difficult thing, especially if you're someone who averages 40 seconds. And guys, when I first started speedcubing back early last year in 2017, sub 20 seemed difficult. And guess what? Once it happened, once I actually got a sub 20 solve and just kept practicing, I slowly got better. Now I average like 15 seconds. And so, yes, it's practice. Yes, you have to be patient. Yes, it can be difficult to wait. But guess what? Just practice. Just work on doing your absolute best. And I hope you guys just will find this helpful. You guys will use this advice. And let me know how well it works out in the comment section below. It's always rewarding to see you guys say, this worked really well for me. This was I really enjoyed this, or something like that. Just encouragement like that. And also encourage other people too. If someone says, I'm now sub 20, tell them good job. Tell them they did good. That's a good thing to do. But anyways, guys, sorry for rambling on. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I know you guys all wanted this video, so hope it was not a letdown. So thank you guys so much for watching again, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!